Hey, everybody. Hi there. How are you? Welcome. Welcome to this month's December Coffee, Conversation, and Coaching Corner. Can you tell I love alliteration? Welcome. This is a bit of a special broadcast, if you will, because normally I do coffee, conversation, and coaching in the Blue Moon Magic Tribe Facebook group. And it is there. I'm streaming it there. I am also, this month, I was, I don't know, guided, nudged, um, led, whatever you choose, whatever sounds good, to also share this to YouTube. So we're on YouTube Live right now and onto the Blue Moon Manifestations page. So right now we are currently, or I am currently in 3 different places. I will also, just so that you know, after the fact, I will be uploading this to my IGTV. When I have tried to do lives at the same time on multiple places and include Instagram, I don't know, the video is very pixelated. It's hard to hear on the live, which, I don't know why, but that's the way it is. So it will be uploaded to IGTV. So now that this has hopefully been broadcast and notifications sent and all the good stuff to all 3 places, let me introduce myself before I let you know what we'll be talking about, kind of the flow of today, and what to expect. So my name is Patty Diaz. I'm the founder and manifestation coach with a magical twist here at Blue Moon Manifestations. I am obsessed with helping you take your life from one of routine or going through the motions, mundane, if you will, to one of magic. And you will find that for me, magic consists of manifestation, abundance, gratitude, intention, and clarity. So I incorporate all those 5 components that make up magic throughout my life. And that's what I do so that you can then design, create, and live the life that you want to be living, not the life that has been pre-designed or predestined or that you are expected to follow, but step into becoming the person you want to be, who is living the life you want to be living. So that's that. And I do have a couple of notes to try and keep myself on track a bit, because I'm including a little bit more in this than I normally do. And since I'm in 3 different places right now, I don't have my phone. I suppose I could have my phone up, but I'm supposed to be able to see comments here. And I believe it is set up. So if you guys have questions along the way, because typically coffee, conversation, and coaching does consist of Q&A. So I will have a specific time at the end for questions. But if things come up along the way, or if something's not clear that I'm talking about, please, and I'm still trying to angle myself so the reflection does not show up on my glasses. But please chime in, or just let me know you're putting in the question so that I can get to it at the end, whichever works best for you. And let's see, I'm going to go into, oh, I can see it right here. Look at that. All right. Cool. So I think I'm set up to see everything. Nicole, hi, how are you? Good to see you. Dee, good to see you as well. Thank you guys for being here. So let's start off with, first of all, talking about the theme of the month. I have come up with a kind of like an overarching and sometimes a secondary and tertiary themes of the month, depending on what's going on that time of year, or what's prevalent, relevant, or just themes that I think are beneficial. So for the month of December, the overall theme is spiritual literacy. This is actually a recognized month. It's like on the National Day calendar. It is National Spiritual Literacy Month. So I thought it was perfect to just jump on that and then share my points of view, learn some things along the way, and help you guys do the same thing too. You're welcome for the email reminder. Yay! Yes, scheduling, pre-scheduling is fabulous. I'm getting better at doing more and more of that. So you're welcome. I'm glad it helped. So spiritual literacy, if you look it up on the National Day calendar, it's about broadening our horizons, learning some about spiritual practices of other people, other cultures, other practices. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to incorporate them, but it's a way of getting, I should say, connecting with other people, learning about their cultures, learning about their practices is a way of getting to know the person as well, right? Without them having to explain it all. It gives us a bit of insight and just increases our knowledge, which, we can never go wrong with that. I'm not sure if I've ever heard of spiritual literacy. See, exactly. So that's a learning thing right there. And if you want to look up the history of it, I'm sure you can Google it. But the place that I found it was nationaldaycalendar.com. It breaks down all the national days, the national months, the weeks, of all the things that are celebrated or have been recognized on the National Day calendar. I know there's other sources as well, but that's one of the main places I start. And then I do find things in other areas as well. So what I wanted to talk about, I'm going to see if I can put my notes here in front of me without affecting my keyboard, or I could just move my keyboard. I don't think I'll be typing. And if I do, I'll bring it back. Sounds great. Awesome. So spiritual literacy, like I said, broadening horizons and at least learning about other practices, cultures, and history, because that does include the history of their practices, where it comes from, where it's developed. And I'm not saying you have to dive deep and, get a master's or anything like to that level. Just increase your knowledge, become aware, start getting curious, which is really an overall theme that you will hear me talk about throughout this month. And just on my side, what I would like to include in that, in this overall spiritual literacy is one of two ways. If you don't have a higher power, spirit or God or universe or whatever, any higher power, higher knowledge, universal intelligence, however you choose to phrase it, if you don't have that you connect with, that you resonate with, that you look to for guidance, I would suggest definitely getting curious about other practices, other cultures, something that may resonate or feel authentic to you. Because I think that is a huge part of then developing your spiritual practice, or even starting a spiritual practice or making it your own. Because from my point of view, or from my experience, I should say, I was brought up, I was baptized Catholic, but then I did not grow up going to a Catholic church. We actually went to a Nazarene church. And so I started following, going to Sunday school and all the things that go along with church. And I have never had a problem in believing in a higher power. This is absolute. I've got that. I didn't question that part. You can go back and watch, if you want, my weekly video live of this week on the Blue Moon Manifestations page, because I go into my spiritual journey, what my experience has been. But it didn't resonate with me. Short version is, it did not resonate with me that everyone's spiritual practice or religion, if you will, had to look the same, or how I saw it had to look the same. We all had to go to church and tithe and pray and read the Bible, and everybody went to Sunday school or to church at the same time. And that part felt like rules to me. And I, strong-headed Aries that I am, and Leo rising that I am, I really just don't easily follow the rules. I don't mind having a framework. I actually like having a framework or a structure or an outline. Then I like to fill in the details and personalize whatever it is to me. So I like to learn from the structure, like to learn from the framework or whatever it is, and then personalize it. And I did not feel guided to do that or led to do that by the elders or church goers or anything like that. So I never really felt a connection. I never really felt like I had a relationship with this higher power. And before I forget, I'm going to pull this off. So I would have like my prayer, like say prayers or meditate or journal. But again, nothing really felt like a real solid relationship. And then I went to a an in-person event, Gabby Bernstein's book release last year for her book Super Attractor. And I had been following her obviously because I knew about the event, and we got copies of the books for attending, as part of the price for attending the event. And while we were standing in line, people, I guess, that work there or whoever, were walking around and passing out. She has a deck of cards, Super Attractor deck of cards that goes with the book, or that is a companion to the book. And they were letting people pull cards and keep the card from, decks that they had. So the card that I pulled was one that really led me into following that, making it my own. It says, I feel my way into faith one step at a time. And this is the card. They let us keep it. I have the deck itself, but this card is not from my deck. This is the one I got that day. And I wrote on the back here, the Super Attractor event, October 15th, 2019. But see, I just pulled this off of the board here. I keep this up to remind me that that's what started. I feel my way into faith. So if you guys don't call it faith, that's okay. Find something that does resonate with you. I suggest, this is obviously, I'm not one to tell people what to do, but this is a suggestion. And even get curious if you don't have one right now, or if what you have been brought up with or have traditionally done does not resonate with you. That's amazing. I know, I loved it. Because it's just a whole nother avenue of like, yes, these cards and the universe speaks to us, and then there is all this available to us at any given time. You haven't read that one? It's a good one. I actually, back then I was doing a lot more driving because I was out in the field for my job. So I actually listened to it on Audible before I read it. But I have gone through, and sometimes I randomly open a page. Hi, Marilyn. Good to see you. I randomly open a page and jot a note or highlight something. But I listened to it as I was driving a lot. And that's how I got through it the first time. But it's a good one. I do recommend it. And I love her other ones as well. The one I read first was The Universe Has Your Back. So I have those cards as well that go with that book. So get curious, find a spiritual practice, or make it your own. If you watched my live on Friday for the weekly card pull, I was pulling cards from Keepers of the Light Oracle deck, and I'm going to use that throughout the month along with angels and ancestors for the Friday card pulls, and I love that deck because it has so many different deities and archangels and different ways that might resonate with you. They don't all have to look the same. You can work with a deity and have a belief in God. You can have the universe or universal consciousness as your ultimate higher power, and then have other deities or helpers or archangels that you work with. And one way that you do it this year or this month may not look exactly the same as it does next month or next year or on a day-to-day basis. And that's what I have learned. That's what I am starting to envelop and really embody, is that I can make it my own. It doesn't have to look like anyone else's spiritual practice. So that's what I encourage you to get curious about this month, always, but with the topics and things that I'll be sharing with Spiritual Literacy Month. So that is, I'm going to share with you just to get you started, or give you an idea of where I have learned a lot of my things from, my topics, my knowledge, and then of course made it my own. But I have Moonology, because if you guys follow me at all, you'll know that I'm all about working with the moon. So I have Moonology.
I attended an in-person workshop with Yasmin Boland. I love doing that anytime I can. This one is business related, but the more I get into this book, I can see how I can turn that or shift the principles into what I do in helping you guys. Because I'm not a business coach, I'm a manifestation coach, a happiness coach, if you will. I call that myself that in the past. So wanting to help you find the way to do your thing, to do you. I definitely don't say do it the same way I did so that you can have the same results I did. I help you find what works for you, what resonates with you, what is the next step. I give you maybe guidance on what to try and then say, hey, did this work? Did this not work? What felt good about it? What didn't? So that's where I'm coming from. But I can see how I can apply these business principles to helping you guys work with my clients and in my lives and stuff. But it's called The Soul Sourced Entrepreneur. She's a business coach, Christine Kane. I'm actually attending a virtual event of hers this week. So I'll be learning more from that. See, so I'm always going to workshops or attending virtual events. As crazy and challenging as COVID has been, I am thankful to my core that I have been given the time. I've attended a virtual workshop that is in Tennessee, or a virtual event that I would not have been able to attend in person because of time constraints. Had we been in the same pre-COVID situation, that was in Tennessee. I attended a second round of a business retreat virtually. Last year, I did attend that one in Florida. This year, I attended it over a weekend virtually. I'm attending a 3-day workshop for this, which would typically be hosted in Asheville, North Carolina. So I'm grateful for that, for all this knowledge. I am currently finishing up this book, The Magic. I decided to amp up my gratitude practice through this lunar cycle. It's a 28-day practice, and I'm on day 21 today. This one I'm listening to periodically because I've read it before. Big Magic by Liz Gilbert. This is a wonderful book for, yes, following ideas, living creatively, even if you're not an artist or creative person in your work. It tells you how to guide you and shows you ideas on how to live creatively. This was the book of the month that I read. It actually took me 2 months, but that's okay. You Are Magical by Tess Whitehurst. There's some fabulous information in that. And then here's the Super Attractor book that I was talking about. I didn't want to empty all of my bookshelves, but just to give you guys some different ideas, if you guys have other ones or other books or resources, share them here, share them in the comments anywhere else. And there is actually a post in the Blue Moon Magic Tribe Facebook group about your books. Let me see so that I'm not missing stuff here. Yes, Yasmin is amazing. I love her too. It was great to attend a workshop of hers in person. Okay, so let me see. D, I am currently exploring the Kabbalah. See, okay, awesome. As it is something I know very little about. Beautiful. I love it. And if you want to share some of your insights or takeaways with us throughout the month or however, through your learning, please feel free to do so. I would love to. I have not studied that or learned about that yet. So that's awesome. Thank you, Dee. And I did a rising sign workshop with her. Ooh, that must have been good too. I have I'm in her membership, her Moon Club, I'm very bad with names, but there is a Manifesting with the Moon workshop that I had a while back I purchased. And so all these things, I take them and mold them and make them fit and help you guys to try them or share my experiences with you guys. Because I think that's how we learn, first of all. And it also gives us a way like, oh, well, you made it work this way, but I think I want to try this with, doing it differently. Then fabulous, do it. I bet you'll have amazing results because it is more in line with what you feel and what you are learning. So yes, that's awesome. Thank you.
And I have both coffee and water here today. So let's see, that was about the theme of the month. Um, and also as a way to find, it's also in the video of last week's, but I will say that what I have chosen, or what I call my spiritual path, is the magical spiritual path, the spiritual path of magic. Because magic, I see it as a practice, as a craft, and as a spiritual way of living, because I see magic everywhere. I believe in magic. I love magic. I've always been drawn to that concept. So that's what I call it. Now, what does that incorporate? That incorporates meditation. It incorporates working with different deities and energies and archangels and goddesses, goddess energy, all the things, depending on what I'm needing or what I'm led to. And movement as just a way of moving energy through my body. Does it help me get healthier? Does it keep me healthy? Absolutely. But the practice of movement, be it yoga or dance or Pilates, I see it as also helping my body physically, but it helps me to move energy and release energy because it's physical movement, and I can breathe it out, or I can exercise it out, or sweat it out. So it's a way of moving and releasing, as well as strengthening and being good for me physically and health, mentally, all the things. So make it your own and know that it doesn't have to look the same all of the time. How do you get into the group? Is it free or paid membership? My group is free, Nicole. It is. Ooh, can I type something here? I think I can. I don't know if I can link it because I'm going through StreamYard. But my group is let's see. It's on Facebook, and it's the Blue Moon Magic Tribe. If you got the email, you should be able to click on that. I think I linked it. And let me hit enter. Oops, I didn't finish typing. Blue Moon Magic Tribe is the Facebook group. Did I write that right? My phone's in the way, so that's why I keep looking like I'm looking around something. There we go. But it should be linked in the email, or just look up Blue Moon Magic Tribe Facebook group. So awesome. And I do a quarterly challenge in there. The next one will be in January. The challenge is free. Everything in the group is free. I do also have like paid workshops and things that I talk about and share with you guys. But everything in the group itself is free. So the challenge is quarterly. I do coffee conversation and coaching every month in there. So all the stuff that goes on in there, absolutely free. Awesome. Beautiful. And then also in learning, this is the last I'll talk about the spiritual literacy, and then I'll move on a bit to turning negatives into positives. But in what I have chosen to do in this concept of spiritual literacy is not just the books and not just learning about rituals. Well, yeah, I guess it does incorporate that. But any tools that I use, like mala beads or sage or crystals or cards or anything that I come across, I am making it my practice to learn about the history of it. So as of yet, I don't really know the history of where mala beads come from. Where did they originate? What was their purpose? Who are the people that make them? I am going to learn about that. And one thing I will say as well is I have chosen, because of what resonates with me, and I will never tell anyone like you have to think this way or you have to see it this way. I just share my perspectives. For using sage or Palo Santo or incense or anything like that, I have chosen to call it cleansing or clearing with sacred smoke versus using the term smudging, because from what I have learned in the little bits, I'm not an expert by any means on any of these, what I have learned is that smudging, the term and the practice of smudging, from the Native American perspective, I don't know if other cultures also use that term. I will learn, but I don't know yet, is that there is knowledge and history and ritual and things that are passed down culturally that is involved in the practice of smudging. I don't incorporate that. I am cleansing myself or my space or my tools or clearing energy with smoke. So I'm choosing now to call it cleansing or clearing with smoke or sacred smoke, smoke cleansing, smoke clearing, anything like that, because I don't feel like I'm incorporating all of the things that are involved in smudging in that aspect culturally. So I'm not calling it that. Am I going to jump down your throat if you call it that? Nope, not at all. I'm just telling you mine, why I'm choosing to, and that's what I'm choosing to do. May it change when I learn more? I don't know. Maybe it'll solidify what I feel more. Maybe it'll change my thinking more. That's the beauty of learning more and more, finding out more things to get curious about. Okay, cool. So if there's anything about spiritual literacy, the topic, I don't see anything new. So on my posts and on my stories, I guess, anywhere, I've been saying that I'm going to incorporate a workshop into this, and it's just because it's different, or in addition to the typical talking about the month's theme and having any Q&A, or I go back and look at questions that have been submitted before, either as answers to when you request to join the group, there's some questions that are asked. So I go back and look through those to have topics or things to discuss in coffee and coaching and conversation. But this time I'm adding a little bit of extra knowledge or talking points. And it came about because of I guess basically a conversation, for lack of a better word, during one of my lives about gratitude, because I was talking about the theme of the month for November was gratitude for me. And so I was talking about the different aspects and different ways of incorporating gratitude as a practice. And someone brought up the fact that they don't know or didn't know how to be grateful, or how could they be grateful for losing someone that meant so much to them. And I did touch on it a little bit. We did have, a conversation within the construct of the live chat, but it got me to thinking about turning positive or negatives into positives and what that might look like. So these are a few talking points, workshop-ish questions or practices if you want, but definitely feel free to ask about that or contribute as well. What I wrote down is, first of all, because of that conversation, and then of course right after, because the universe works beautifully, I listened to a weekly meditation that I am part of with Tess Whitehurst in her group as well, or her membership. We have a weekly group meditation, and sometimes I make it and sometimes I can't. But she talked about this past week, the joy vibration versus happiness. And in that conversation, someone brought up grief and how grief can lead to strengthening your joy vibration. And that sounds very weird off the top. And I know because I thought it did too. So quickly, the joy vibration, as I have now come to see it, is actually the way of being, like our core, our center, our default. We have to learn how to make it our default, and we have to learn how to maintain it. And happiness is like, oh, I'm so happy to see my friend. Oh, I'm so happy. I just woke up feeling happy today. Or I'm so happy that I get to do this. Happiness is great, but it's not the constant. because we will have, mood swings or days that are more challenging. But joy, if you think of that as a vibration, and I think this will very easily lead into a workshop or something of itself, all on its own. But the joy vibration is something that can be strengthened, that can be developed as our default. And you've heard me say that I called myself a happiness coach. The reason and it's not that I don't still talk about the same things, but I took that terminology away. And some people still refer to me as that, and that's fine. But from feedback I was getting is that people were thinking, oh, I have to be unhappy to want to work with her. It's like, no, I'm just teaching you how to keep that going, how to make that your default. And instead, it's like, oh, well, joy can be applied to everything, right? Honing and strengthening that vibration. So I will still, if someone calls me a happiness coach, I'll be like, great, yep, absolutely. But I took that terminology away because I didn't want people to think, oh, I have to be unhappy to need to work with her. No, let me show you how to maintain it. So anyway, that was a little bit of a side tangent. So talking about this example of what is the good that I can find when I lose someone, and strengthening on what we talked about in that live is that you can feel the grief, and we all absolutely should feel the grief of losing someone, or something that changed, like not being able to see our families because of COVID, or anything that causes you to feel grief. Feel the grief, experience it. It sucks at times, it's not easy, it's painful, but it's not something to be avoided, because then that just turns into, I call it like this negative, energetic, like tar kind of, I don't know, like a black, like the blob energetic, not actual, like in our bodies or in our systems or in our energy, if we don't actually experience it and work through it. So, but in the sense of how do joy and grief work together, once we're done experiencing the grief, or further along, because right at the beginning, when you first experience the loss, be in the grief. Don't try to say, no, I'm fine, it's all good, I know. Experience it, let yourself do that. But then when you have those moments, when you can smile because of the person that you knew, that's where you can then strengthen the joy. Because if you can take a moment or half a moment or whenever you can to realize the reason that you or I or anyone that experiences grief is feeling that so strongly, is because that person meant that much to us in our lives. And how freaking lucky and blessed and loved and, any other positive adjective were we to have known that person, or to have had that experience before it was taken from us, or before we had to move on or leave or move or whatever, if it's a place or something like that. But it's a process, and sometimes we'll have great moments and then we'll go the next day and cry all day because we're still thinking about the person and we're sad, and be sad. But know that you can strengthen the joy vibration by realizing, I can turn this feeling of grief, once I experience it, I can transform it. I can then change it and mold it and turn it into joy, because I have them in my memory. I had them in my life, and I love them so much that it hurts this much to lose them. So I think that's something to be celebrated once we're at the point that we can celebrate it, and celebrate the people, and celebrate having them in our lives, and look back on the memories of some silly experience or some silly comments that they made and smile. You might smile and cry, and that's okay. But see, that's how we can fuel our joy vibration. And that's how we can transform those negatives, those hard things, into something good. So hopefully that helps. I do have a couple other things, examples of my own, because I also wrote down looking and learning how to reframe a negative a perceived negative into a positive takes learning, it takes practice. And if you can look backwards to find your reference point of learning how to do that or learning how to show someone else how to do it is one of the best ways. It's not the only way, of course, but so for example, one same situation, right? And this is going to seem trivial, and on some level it is, but it's just looking at the perspectives. So when I was younger, I think elementary school age, I don't think I was quite a teenager yet. I don't think, but we used to go camping. If you're familiar with the California or like Nevada area, you've been there, you'll recognize the name. But we used to go camping in Death Valley around on Thanksgiving weekend for several years. And it was fun. It was great. We went as a family a couple years. Some of my aunts and uncles and their kids came, with us too, and they had their camper or their tents or whatever. So it was more of a bigger family event. So we would go camping Thanksgiving weekend in Death Valley because it's not unbearably hot. It does get kind of cold at night, but it's not unbearably hot desert temperatures because it is out in the desert. And one of the years, I don't remember if it was the first or second or whatever, we had the absolute worst. I don't know if it's the worst, but for us, windstorm. And that year we were tent camping. We had not yet gotten the camper. So it had to be our first or second year that we went. We had not gotten our motorhome because we had a motorhome, not a camper. So we had a tent and my dad set it up and all that. My dad, we couldn't have turkey. We didn't have the oven and all that, but my mom had put together ingredients to make our little family Thanksgiving camping dinner. I don't remember what it was, but it was not to be because since we did not have a camper or motorhome yet, we would have been cooking on our little camping stove or a campfire outside. With this windstorm that came up, that was not going to happen at all. So what ended up happening, because this is the actual memory that I have, we were sitting inside the tent, my mom, my brother, my dad, and myself, and we were each in a different corner of the tent, basically trying to hold it down or sit on the flap so like the wind would not like pick up the bottom of the tent, even though it was staked in. And as we were doing that, I think we were taking turns probably. We were having cereal, cold cereal for Thanksgiving dinner. And my mom was pissed. She was like, nope, what in the hell are we doing? This is awful. And she was not happy about it. My dad can make anything fun. So I hope, I'm glad I've gotten that from him, I believe. But it was, from my perspective, looking back on it now, it was a great memory. I look at it and laugh. I don't know, because I actually haven't asked her. I probably should see how my mom sees that experience now. But I know back then it was not pleasant. So looking back on an event like that and seeing how two people experiencing the same thing can have two different viewpoints, right? Can have two different reactions or memories of the same event. Now, yes, I was a kid. I may have been a teenager, and if I was, it was early teens. I just don't remember the age bracket that I was. But yes, so I was a kid. But I could have still been, looked at it as mopey. Oh, what am I doing here? I just remember the flaps going all over the place and my dad having to sit on one and my mom trying to sit on one and tie the ties and all the things. I think it's great. So if you can find a situation or an event like that you can see from two different perspectives, and then maybe you can share when you come across someone in your family or even yourself for sure. Be like, okay, if I'm looking at this negatively, how might someone else look at it? And that kind of takes the pressure off of trying to convince your brain that, oh, I have to see this positively. I have to change my thinking to positive thinking, because that actually creates more resistance more often than not. When you try to convince your brain to just think my way out of this. You can ask yourself, if someone else was experiencing the situation with you, how did they see it? How do they perceive it? And if someone else wasn't, or you can't, you don't have access or are not in contact with them, you can ask yourself, how might someone else see this? If I take myself out of it, then your brain won't resist it so much. Because like, okay, let's just see. What if I looked at it from a different point of view? What if I found something funny about that? What if I found one moment that either makes me smile or that I thought was comical or that I might just see as a lesson? Or I don't know, was it something that I could have done differently as a learning opportunity, a teachable moment, if you will? I get that language from my working in the elementary school as an aide. Teachable moment. Find those teachable moments. So, looking at things from your past and either trying to reframe it yourself or seeing how two different people might see it differently and choose then on purpose to see it from the positive light or the positive perspective. Once you can see both points of view and you choose to see it that way, that's not tricking your brain into positive thinking because you have evidence or you have support. Okay, I can see this as positive because look, this and this and this. So looking back at that, and another thing, seeing what positive came out of it, even if the event itself, if you cannot find a positive thing, what positive came after the fact? What's a good thing? And again, this is a very simple example, but if you look back and find the simple examples, you can always apply the same basic thinking or practices to bigger events or bigger examples. So again, in our Thanksgiving camping trips to Death Valley, I wrote these down. I'm not even going to say if I know or don't, because I don't know if this was the same weekend as the same trip as the tent with the cold cereal for dinner. But for whatever reason, I remember that we forgot, not we, I mean, I wasn't a kid. I was a kid. I didn't help pack, but we did not have syrup for our pancakes. My mom had made pancakes and we did not have syrup. And so I forgot, I don't know, my brother, well, both me and my brother were probably pretty amused by it because my dad found a way to have us have something sweet with our pancakes. He's like, okay, here, look, try this. Put our butter, because we did have the butter, so put the butter on there. And while it's still warm enough that it's melting the butter, sprinkle, or once the butter has melted, sprinkle a little bit of sugar on it. Now, not heaps of sugar, not like spoonfuls of it, but sprinkle a little bit of sugar over the melted butter and try it that way. It's not syrup, but it's sweet. After that weekend, never again intentionally had syrup on my pancakes, ever. I mean, if we were like at a house of pancakes or a restaurant or something that had like a flavored syrup or something along those lines, then great. Or if whoever, if I was living like my ex-boyfriend, and he, I think, wanted a flavored one, like a butter flavored syrup. So we always had that. And Eric, currently my boyfriend now, he loves syrup. So we have it. But when we have pancakes, I still, to this day, like 30 some odd years later, I still sprinkle sugar over the melted butter. And I've never like made pancakes with syrup for myself. Made it for other people. But look at the positive that came from that. I now have that association that my dad showed us how to do that. He turned that negative into a positive right in that moment. And then it has now stuck with me. And I will have it forever because it's like, oh, look at this new way of having pancakes that I would never have thought of or probably had the occasion to, to have that experience had the syrup not been left home that day. So if you guys can take that type of principle, that type of thought process, I guess is a way. Okay, first of all, and if you guys have examples that you want to workshop either now or those of you on the replay, I am more than happy to come back in and, chat with you on the comments after the fact. Or if you guys have one now of some type of event that you want to reframe or maybe have a different perspective. But basically, I'll break down the steps for you It's looking back at events that have already happened in your life, that you've already experienced. It would be great if you have one that you see as negative and you know that someone else sees it as positive, or vice versa, where you see it as a positive and you know that someone else sees it as a negative. So if you can find a specific event and investigate it, get curious about the different points of view. And I'm shifting around like I can see things from a different perspective, right? Over here, I see my Christmas tree. Over there, I see the kitchen. Two totally perspectives, but both valid, both great, both serve their purpose. So find that, see if you can get curious. And if you really get stuck in, I can't find something positive about this event, I can't find a reframe, I can't positive think my way out of it, because like I said, I don't recommend positive think your way out of it. Experience it, work through it, get curious, yes. If you really can't find that, then look for the after effects. What positive came from it? What lesson did I learn? What fun story did I turn this into when I was telling people about it in the future, after the fact? How did did this turn into a funny story? Did someone say, hey, because of your story, I remembered this, or I knew how to work my way out of this kind of problem because you shared your story with me a year ago, a week ago, whatever. What positive evidence, or what evidence of positivity or lessons or things that make you smile, anything after the fact can you find? And I'm gonna say I'm just about positive that if you are open to it, you do have to be open to it, you will be able to find something to either help you reframe that negative into a positive, or see it how someone else, see it from the other person's perspective. That's a really great practice to get into, that you can apply into, to arguments with people or just disagreements when you can't come to a solution, is removing yourself from your point of view and looking at it from, even if it's really hard to see it from the other person's perspective because you're involved in that back and forth or negotiation or argument, you can choose to look at it from a neutral, uninterested, uninvolved party. You don't have to name the person. You can just, rise above it and like have a bird's eye view of the situation and ask your brain to look at it from a neutral perspective and say, okay, do I see their point or do I see their point? Or are they really something very close to coming to a resolution, but they're both stuck? If they just were able to tweak their perspective by half a degree or 1% or whatever, it's a great way to apply that same thinking. So I believe that's it. Walk through all my notes, touched on the joy vibration, what the theme of the month is for spiritual literacy. If you guys have any questions, anything that you would like to workshop again now or on the replay, or just if you have questions about, getting clear on how to apply these principles and reframing the negative into positive, because it's possible. It is always possible. Is it always done? Is it always easy? Is it always clear? No, but there is something there. If we change our thinking, if we change our words, if we change our perspective, or just take a break from it for a half hour or a day or a week, depending on the severity or the urgency of the situation. Take a step back, remove yourself from it. Try coming back again when you are not at the boiling point of it. And hopefully that helps. I will let you guys know real quick, what day are we at today? The 6th? So actually next Saturday, this coming up Saturday, the 12th, is, yay, I'm so excited, our Word of the Year workshop. That is a paid workshop. And I am going to be, it's on Eventbrite. I will also, you can find it on my stories and on the page and in the group. I'll send it out on email. It is a workshop that I love doing because I no longer use resolutions or make resolutions for the new year. I come up with a word of the year. And actually, come up with is a very poor choice of words because since I started this workshop a couple of years ago, I've learned, or I've now reframed it. I am letting my word come to me. I am receiving my word of the year as opposed to coming up with it, because that's another pitfall, for lack of a better word, that I have noticed. Like, oh, we feel this pressure to come up with our intention, to come up with our goal, to come up with our word of the year. No, I will walk you through some steps, through some questions, and the process of letting it come to you, of letting it reveal itself to you. And it doesn't have to be one. It can, I recommend not working with more than 3 words of the year. But as always, you guys do you. So that will be the process of getting clear, asking yourself, or walking through questions and workshops of what you want, what you don't want, what kinds of things that you will be open to in the year, how you want to feel, all these things. And on Saturday, it is, oh, I'm so bad with times. I want to say 1 p.m. Pacific as well. But if you check a post, the times are on there. So that's this Saturday. And then the very next day, the 13th, is our new moon manifestation circle. That's where I walk you through on Zoom, actually setting an intention with the moon. Every circle, there's something a little bit different because there are either different energies, or I would like to share different ways that I set intentions and let them come to me as well. Always, I say always, don't feel bad if you don't have your intention or your word by the end of the workshop or by the end of the session. You will have the tools and know how to give yourself the space to let it come to you. When working with a lunar intention, the moon is in each phase for a few days, depending on where it sits and when it falls, up to 7 days sometimes. But if you don't come up with, again, I'm reframing. If your intention does not come to you by the end of the workshop or by the end of your journaling session, if you're not part of the circle, don't worry. Give yourself the space. Start learning. This is part of the process of what I teach, is start learning how to just, okay, I'm open to it. I'm receptive. I am willing to know what intention will serve my best purpose. What is the best phrasing of my intention? What is the word that will help me achieve the things that I want? And learning how to rewire your brain to ask those questions and to keep that as a focus. Because what I've seen, just kind of as a what are the things in the movies? Trailers, like a trailer, a pre-trailer, or whatever they call it. I don't work with resolutions anymore, because what I've noticed was I never did, to be quite honest. I never set resolutions. They never resonated with me. But I noticed, and this is maybe why I never set them, I noticed people were wanting to stick with their resolution longer than they had the year before. So looking back at this as an adult and who's someone now learns how to see things from a different perspective, I realized that this energy with I'm going to stick with it longer than I did last year is really, and entering this new year with already a defeatist or a defeated attitude. It's like, yep, I didn't stick with it that long last year. Didn't stick with it as long as I wanted, or didn't stick with it at all. Didn't stick with it long enough to see results. So I'm going to try and see if I can make it happen this year. Stick with it longer. That feels yucky, because it already feels like, well, I failed before, so let's see if I can make it happen this year. That doesn't feel good. I like doing things that feel good. Even if they challenge me, they feel good, right? Or even if following that intention or that word leads me to challenging things, it's supposed to. Those are the lessons I'm supposed to learn. So it feels good though to learn those lessons and get through them. Whereas if you enter the year with like, well, I failed at it last year, hopefully I can stick with it this year, more likely than not, you'll stick with it actually less. And then you repeat the cycle again after that, the next year and the next year, or you alternate between the same types of resolutions. So I don't do that. I don't teach resolutions. I teach words of the year, which lead to intention and working with intention and all sorts of great things coming up on that. The working with intentions, setting intentions with the moon for the year, for the solstice, for the month, all that stuff. Because January has something to do with intention. Again, I'm very terrible at remembering specifics like that, like dates or times, but I have the whole year. That's something I did not accomplish last year. Now I have the whole year of 2021 with the themes and a framework. Is it set in stone? Absolutely not. But I have that, and that's an achievement that I accomplished this year now that I did not last year by giving myself that space, by knowing what was important for me, by meeting those resistances to that because it seemed very daunting and very intimidating to plan out a whole year. Now I've done it. Yay, me! Was it uncomfortable? Yeah, it was real. It did not happen in one session, but I did it. And I know that I don't have to stick with it. It's not in stone. If something comes up or if I want to tweak it some way, I have the freedom to do that. But I have a working outline so that if nothing changes, I now know what my year is going to look like theme-wise. So same principle, helping you make these steps, helping you create the vision of what you want your life to look like, not wanting it to fit or mold it or work around what other people expect you to do, because that's not a fun energy either. So I don't see anything that's come through. I will come back and double check again for comments, or if something comes to you later, feel free to drop it in here. And thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for your participation. And Nicole, if you're still on here, if you cannot find the group, just message me on Facebook or, reply to one of my emails and I will get you to the group. So if you guys have any other questions or things that come up, always you can message them to me or reply to emails. My inboxes are always open for you guys. And next month's coffee, conversation, and coaching will be strictly back in the Blue Moon Magic Tribe Facebook group. And look forward to some great things coming for 2021. We're going to finish out 2020 on a positive note with the videos and lives that I have scheduled with for this month, with expanding your spiritual literacy. And I did mention in one of the posts, I believe, that I was going to give you a challenge to finish out 2020 on a positive note. It's nothing formal. There are no posts. There is no like, oh, you have to come post this or that. But I am going to challenge you to pick one thing that you can accomplish between now. We are at December 6th to December 31st. It's not even a whole month. Patty, what are you talking about, right? Doesn't matter. Can you commit to it? It may have something to do with what you think your word of the year will be or what your intention is moving forward. Pick one thing that you can complete between now and the end of the year. Like, let's see, what do we have? Is that 21 plus 3 is 24. So yes, if you want to find a 21-day guided meditation that you want to stick with, 28, 29, 30, 31, you will be just shy But if you want to, I just shy, it's a Gregorian calendar. Who cares if you go into the first? If you want to do the magic to amplify your gratitude practice, it's a 28-day practice. So if you start today, you'll finish just after, but you will still have that sense of accomplishment by the 31st. I just completed a 21-day gratitude meditation. It's on Spotify. It's called Gratitude Meditation, 21-day transformation. If you guys need help finding that or want me to find the link for you, let me know in the comments. I will get that to you. Find something. And if you don't want to do meditation or a practice like that, if you want to do something for yourself, commit to washing your face every night. And this is talking from experience because I was very inconsistent with washing my face at night. I found some healthcare, some skincare products that I love. Now I've washed my face. I have not missed washing my face for about a year and a half at night. Every single night, no matter how late, no matter how early, every single night and every single morning. I love the way my skin feels. It feels great. I love the products. Find a thing. It could be as simple as making your bed for 21 days in a row without leaving it unmade. Find something. And if you want to share them, either here on the comments or in the group, the Blue Moon Magic Tribe Facebook group, share what they are. And we'll support each other. There's no formal structure. There's no formal like, oh, this is a challenge from this day to that day. Nope, it's all for you. But the group is there as support, as accountability if you want it. Ask for an accountability partner if that's something that you think will be helpful. So do that in the group. Share, find something that you can commit to and accomplish between now and the end of the year. Let me know what it is. I'd love to hear. And thank you guys. This cannot be shared from the group, but it can be shared from YouTube and from the Blue Moon Manifestations page and IGTV once it's up there. If you guys know someone that this would resonate with, if you know someone who will benefit from this type of information, share this to your page or copy the link and share it in forward it in an email or tag your friends in the comments here on Facebook. I say here on Facebook, but I'm here on all three. Tag your friends, let them know about the Word of the Year workshop that's coming up. Invite them to join with you if it's something that you want to do so you guys can do it together. It's going to be on Zoom. You will not be required to have your camera on if you choose not to, but it will be on Zoom. So it will be interactive in the sense that we can speak to each other as opposed to having to wait for the Facebook delay on typing comments. So that will be coming up, like I said, next Saturday on the 12th. And if you have questions about anything, you guys, always reach out. I appreciate you guys being here. Mwah! Thank you. And just because I happen to look at it, I'm going to leave you with this. Just to wrap up for the theme of the month, I feel my way into faith one step at a time. One step at a time is all it takes. You will accomplish, climb mountains one step at a time. All right, before I start rambling even more, have a great rest of your weekend, guys. And I will talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Thank you.